that is one of the top venture capital firms in the world. And Chris, he actually started the Cultural Leadership Fund, CLF, which those are our people. We do so much stuff with them. Shout out to Megan and Judine and the whole team over at CLF. But that was Chris's actually brainchild. He started it up. Now he's running the crypto side, and he's like a rock star in this situation.
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. No, I got a great team around me, man. Just the whole A16Z fam. It's just been really great just to kind of see the entire industry continue to evolve too.
Yeah. So
the rock stars always give the team credit. That's a key note you guys have to pick up.
True champion.
Yeah.
True champion.
For sure. So but yeah, so this is somebody that obviously is extremely qualified to speak on the space, and somebody that has invested in so many different startup companies, and just an expert when it comes to startup investing, Web3, crypto, all of this stuff, AI, everything like that. So this is extremely timely conversation, being that Bitcoin hit a 20-month high. And crypto's on the rise. So, it's perfect timing. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always. You already know we like to deliver the all the good stuff. So, and I think that especially with what you guys talk about and how we think about the space, both, whenever we're on stage together, but also, behind the scenes, just really talking about how we can advance not only just the industry in general, but allow people to have more access to the information. So, that's always the most important part to me. And, that's what I based my whole career on. And, we want to continue to keep on making that happen.
And he had one of the most impactful panels at InvestFest too.
This is true.
Yep.
Oh, man.
It's true.
We needed a bigger room.
Next year.
That is also true.
Next year. So let me ask you this. Let's start off with, Bitcoin. $42,000. I posted it today that people are calling for it to potentially hit 100,000 next year. There's been talks of $100,000 for a long time now. It has never actually reached that. What usually happens is that it has these type of runs and it pulls back, then it goes up, then it pulls back, then it goes up, then it pulls back. So okay, now the Bitcoin halving is happening in May. There's talks of the approval of the Bitcoin ETF, some settlement in the space. So people are, very enthusiastic. So what's your take on Bitcoin currently, and where do you see it going in 2024?
Yeah, well, look, I think first and foremost, we're at an amazing time in the industry, just where we get a chance to actually be a part of these conversations and see what's going on. I mean, if you think back to, even when Bitcoin first started, these weren't even discussions that were happening. So I think that now that people continue to start to understand the importance of what crypto is and how it's the most empowering technology that we've got a chance to see so far, it's extremely exciting. On top of that, like, if you just even take a broader step about crypto in general, we finally get a chance to take control of our money, and even from a cultural perspective, opt out of the rat race and take control, of all the things that are happening in our lives. I mean, decentralization is here to stay, and I think that now we're starting to see just more people understand the dynamics of owning your own situations, whether it's, being able to take control of your currency, think on the creator side, having people understand what the value of, having on-chain royalties and being able to not just have to use centralized systems. And Bitcoin is always leading the way with that. And so, again, like, none of this is financial advice because, it's all over the place in terms of where it's going to go. But just from the technology in general, I think that not only just as a firm within our crypto team, we are extremely bullish. I mean, we have have over $7 billion worth of management that we in a whole team, over 100 people of us wake up every single day really thinking about how we can help evangelize the future of the industry. I think that there's a lot of opportunities that are starting to see, especially like if you think about what's happening in sort of the regulatory race. Our firm has been really proactive about, trying to figure out how to do things the right way. And you see what happens when people trying to cut shortcuts, and that's why they're getting in trouble right now. But shout out to Coinbase specifically for what they've done in terms of really playing the long game, and now you're starting to see a lot of the benefits start to happen there. Look, I think that like we've been going back and forth for so many times around, even you just think about the current system and how, like, from trying to get a home and a mortgage, like we have to work 9 to 5, then save a little bit of money, then then put in money to actually then go and put in a down payment, and then have these high interest rates. Like, the system has never been on our side, but now, like, you get a chance to actually take control and have ownership. For us, like, one of the things that we think about, which is really important, is this theory, and I think we talked about this when we were at dinner. It's like a 3-part series. Like, the why we call it Web-3 is because there's been 3 eras of the internet. The first one is just like, when the browser actually first came out, and your ability to have, to be able to read data on the internet. So then you think about things like Yahoo, AOL, Instant Messenger, like just the beginning origins of the ecosystem. And then, you think about part 2, which is the ability to not only just read, but also write on top of it. And so that's kind of like Web 2.0, where you saw companies like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and all these platforms that we still use today, that have really started to take off and, kind of transformed the ability for communication and connections. But the funny thing is that what we don't realize that it's always been a part of a centralized ecosystem. So at any point, Kanye's had to deal with this many times. There's other Donald Trump had so many people where they just want to press the button and your account's automatically gone. You lose all your followers. The company shut down. Now all the work that you put into in terms of working towards these centralized systems have now kind of taken place, and now it's completely gone. And so, that's some people don't realize it, but you're working within these constrained environments. But also, you think about, like, on the music side, like, companies like Spotify or YouTube, where the amount of the royalties that they give the creators versus that they actually keep on their end. It's uneven systems, right? And so now we kind of get a chance to go into this version of what we call Web3, which is a decentralized ecosystem where for the first time you actually now get a chance to own your own data, own your followers, create ecosystems and chains, have a self-custodial wallet so that banks can't go take your money out, and you can actually kind of manage all of your own personal economies. And so this is really the jump start that we've been waiting for. And we've been investing very deeply into the space, and a lot of it has been on the infrastructure side, in terms of helping build the foundation for the next generation of crypto. And I think that now, and we talked about this too, like we're really close, and I think that our team is excited about this next wave that's going to be happening, where you're going to not only just see infrastructure and tokens and even NFTs and all these things continue to evolve, but you're going to start to see real applications being built, like the Web3 of Uber, or the Web3 of Instagram or Pinterest, and the true application layer. And for us, that's where a lot of the sweet sauce is, and we're really excited about the future there.
So when we talk about, you want to go?
Troy, go ahead.
Yeah, when we talk about regulation, right? When people hear regulation, a lot of times they think government, right? And so if we're talking about a space that's decentralized, it's like, how do you balance those two things, right? Because even in America, we feel it feels like SEC is involved. They're going to figure out a way to tax this. They're going to figure out a way to put their hands on it. We can see the large financial firms getting involved. But then we talk to people overseas, and it's a whole different conversation. And you can feel the use case is there. Right, they understand, like, this could be the global currency. How are you navigating that? Yeah,
well, look, I think that one of the, like, specifically like with Bitcoin, like, it has an opportunity to present a viable alternative outcome that actually can address situations like inflation, and which is a huge issue which we're dealing with right now. And so rather than just saying, oh, okay, well, if if the U.S. economies continue to inflate, then I'm going to take my money and move it to euros, or move it to dollar, or move it to yen, or other international currencies. You have an opportunity now with crypto to be a strong alternative asset, and an option that is accessible to anyone. I mean, the one thing about Web3, which and how we're seeing the world, which makes it so interesting, is that anybody can have opportunities just to create a Coinbase account, or create a MetaMask account, or download or build a ledger, and now connect into this ecosystem where it's open access and open opportunities. And so for us, we want to make sure, one, on the regulatory side, to kind of continue to not only educate but inform how the viewpoints and where the industry is going, and allow people to understand that there's actually more benefits towards having Web3 and having crypto, and having not just looking at NFTs as securities, but real assets that can actually, anybody across any industry, whether it's putting your home, and instead of selling it through a Compass, you could actually, or a traditional real estate website, now you can turn that into an NFT. Now you can actually find and have the ownership layers go across time. And so for us, we want to make sure to emphasize the benefits of the industry, while also educating, because there's always these mysticisms, and, oh, this is going to be bad, or, oh, I'll lose all my money, or this is a scam. And that's and that's true across every single industry. But for us, and how we see the future of the space, we really want to make sure to provide even level playing field in terms of the information, but even more so, not over promising and under delivering, but creating a source of truth, where bad actors need to be punished. And also, let's continue to keep pushing the industry forward. I think that and like I said at the very beginning, we're at a very interesting state where, for the first time, you get a chance to be in the middle of a transition of going from a centralized ecosystem to now also having a decentralized, opportunity as well too. And that's what gets us fired up.
On the investment side, as far as your team, how long are you guys looking to hold Bitcoin as an investment? And a follow up to that is, when you first start working at Andreessen, for those who aspire to work for a venture capital firm like Andreessen, how did you make your way in?
Well, I'll start up on the latter piece, because I think that's also, an important thing just to kind of break down. And for me, I originally started off in the music industry. I was a music producer and engineer. I got a chance to start my career actually at Jermaine Dupri's studio at Southside Studios with, and so shout out to him and the whole So Def alumni. And so that was the first part. And then from there, I always loved this intersection of what I like to call tech, culture and innovation. And so, I was in high school. I was the first kid that had the Sidekick, or when it came to having, mobile ringtones. And so always had this idea around ways in which we could kind of build the future of technology, but also kind of keep it cool at the same time. And so that ended up, once the first iPhone came out, I saw that as a breakthrough technology where anybody could actually take their ideas and their thoughts and turn them into a thing. And so I got super inspired, ended up teaching myself how to code, and moved out to Silicon Valley, where I started working on my startup, which was a restaurant technology application, so that any restaurant, regardless of their background, could have their menus on smartphones and tablets with high quality photos of each individual dish. And so when I was out there, that's when I understood the network. And got a chance to meet great people, including Ben Horowitz, including Felicia, including the whole A16Z team, and more so understand how the real game worked. And one thing I would always inspire anybody that wants to get into technologies or whether get into venture capital is actually just to start figuring out ways in which you can start off, building on a small scale. So back then you had to move to Silicon Valley in order to actually get into the ecosystem. Here now you have ecosystems in New York, in Austin, Texas, and down here in Miami, and all around the world. And even more so, you can just, if you have a great post or you have good insights and you post them on Twitter, or you post them on other social networks, or even Instagram, where what you guys are doing is you're creating the information and actually putting yourself as your own individual thought leader. And so I think that the first thing is really understanding the ecosystem. A lot of people want to immediately think that, oh, I can go start a startup and go right back into the space. But really, what I've seen is often most successful is kind of jump starting into and maybe working at a company, whether it's a early stage startup or a company that has raised like a Series B or Series C round, where now you can get into the game and start to understand how the world works. Because you can't just come in and just say, okay, I'm going to be in venture. I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but it's an extremely hard industry, and when it comes to the returns, only we kind of call adverse selection, where the best entrepreneurs are going to work with the best venture capitalists, second best entrepreneurs, second venture capitalists, and it kind of goes down the tier from there. So you want to always try to position yourself to be the best. And so even if you do want to start your own fund, I always think about this idea, which we kind of call the idea maze, which is how has your entire life got you to your career, to this point in your career where better than anybody else about this specific industry. And so for me, because I started off in the music industry, because I started a startup, and then having a chance to work at Andreessen as chief of staff, I got a chance to see kind of the lay of the land and how the VC industry worked, and then said, okay, well, based off of where there's potential holes in the market and where there's opportunity, that's when I founded the Cultural Leadership Fund, where I brought the world's greatest athletes, entertainers, musicians, executives, all under one investment vehicle. And with me being the only brother in the room, I thought it was also important to make sure that we could, knowing that the next generation of wealth is happening within the technology industry and more of us need to have a seat at that table, wanted to make sure to create the first fund in the history of Silicon Valley to have 100% Black LPs, so that now we could have this idea called shared genius, where founders might be geniuses at what they're building, the next Mark Zuckerberg, the next you name it, but then also getting a chance to work with the greatest cultural leaders who equally have insights in terms of not only how they can help improve the product or have, okay, what if you added this into the business behind the scenes, but also helping it scale and getting a chance to have access at the earliest stages too. So, you're not just getting access to the Snap investment one round before the IPO, or investing into Coinbase once it goes public, but having that chance to really build and grow with the businesses. Because you think about the Serena Williams of the world, the Kevin Durant's, and to one degree they might be athletes and superstar athletes, but really they're entrepreneurs and they're business people, and they think about the world differently, and having all these different touch points and getting that opportunity to really kind of connect across both worlds and lead with influence and have that shared genius. I think that's something that I saw was extremely valuable. And that was in 2015, 2016. And you fast forward to today, so many people have created their own funds. We're having conversations like this, and it's not just, shelved into the technology section, but these are mainstream conversations that we're having on a day-to-day basis. And so, the first step is just, leaning in, and you can read about the spaces, you can write blog posts, but the beauty of this is that it's an open playing field and you can get in whenever you want.
So let me ask you this, as far as the crypto conversation, you guys obviously hold a lot of Bitcoin. I think you said $7 billion in Bitcoin, right?
Well, our fund itself we have $7 billion under management currently.
For the whole crypto, in the crypto.
Exactly. And then we use that money to basically invest into the world's best companies along the space.
So,
very smart.
All right, you guys are very bullish on Bitcoin. I'll follow up with Ian's question, because I think you might have forgot that part. But how long do you plan on holding Bitcoin, and what other cryptocurrencies are you guys interested in or invested in, or what's your thoughts on the cryptocurrency space for other coins, XRP, Ethereum, outside of the big boy, which is Bitcoin?
Look, I think that when you think about just the future of tokens, one of the things that we're extremely excited about. So you have these things, without getting too technical, there's layer ones, which are kind of like mini supercomputers that are built into the internet. So those are kind of like the Ethereums of the world, the Bitcoins, the Solanas, you name it. Those are the core ecosystems, right? But then one of the things that we're seeing continuing to emerge, and where we're very excited, in exploring is these what we call like L2 ecosystems. So they're built off of the Ethereum blockchain, and then you have companies like Polygon or Optimism or businesses like that, where now they're building their own they're building their own technologies that are going to continue, that you can build off of. So if you're a developer, you can build off of Optimism, you can build off of Polygon, you can build off of Base, which is a company that product in L2 that Coinbase recently just did in partnership with Optimism. And so that gives you the ability now to have to leverage these layer ones, but more so create new businesses that then can help scale the underlying infrastructure. And so these are businesses that we're always excited about and constantly seeing more and more of them involved. Another one that we that I worked really closely with was a company called ApeCoin, Yuga Labs, and then they launched an ApeCoin. That's a layer 2 ecosystem. And so within that, they have, now you can actually, if you wanted to buy merch from Yuga or the Bored Apes or from CryptoPunks or you name it, instead of you just spending US dollars or you spending Ethereum, now you can actually use their own currency. And I think that's extremely exciting, because now you're going to start to see these interoperable economies that are going to start to come off, where traditionally in a dollar currency situation, it's only based off of US dollars. So at some point there could be an EYL token. And now if you want to go to the next EYL show or the next conference, the only way in order to purchase that is with your own economy. And so, and these are things that are extremely exciting, because this is where the future of Web3 evolves. But it's super important for us to continually making it as easy as possible, because I know this is a super technical discussion in terms of like where the possibilities are. But once it actually gets to what I kind of call the application layer, and quote unquote hiding the wires, where you might not, in the next couple of years, you're going to be using crypto and not even knowing that you're actually interacting with the blockchain. I mean, a good example that we talked about was kind of how the history of the GPS system, right? Like, when you use GPS, you don't think, oh, I'm about to interact with this GPS technology. You're like, yo, I need to figure out how to get to the nearest Starbucks, or I'm trying to go to the club tonight. Like, how do I get there? But there's actually a whole technology platform, and actually it was co-founded by a Black woman as well too. So back in the day, and so that has created a whole new companies. I mean, without GPS technology, there would be no Uber, there would be no Lyft, there would be so many platforms and companies that have built off of this underlying technology, and you didn't even know it, right? Same thing with email. Like the SMPT is a actual protocol. Like, an email is really a protocol similar to a lot of these protocols that are in Web3. And it was super, super complex for anybody to actually be able to use this. So by building a simple system like a Gmail that can actually remove a lot of the infrastructure and a lot of the wires and allow you just to interact on a daily basis, that gives you the ability to create brand new technologies. And so now when you think about the next generation of crypto or Web3 and having these layer 2 applications, that it's very similar to thinking about that as the kind of 3.0, right? And so people were going to start to build these new platforms that, the next social network will be able to allow you to take your users and only have one login and be able to go from this platform to this platform and still be able to migrate all your data and have everything controlled on your personal keys. And I think that that's really where the next generation is going to move forward, and where we're super excited about investing into the next big company in the space.
Chris, so if the next generation is going to move forward in that direction, we need to be a part of it. I always compare cryptocurrency to the aircraft that is taking off, and we can't get left at the gate. But
we can't do it. We can't do it.
Yeah, we got to have our boarding pass to this, right? So
absolutely,
one of the things, the barriers that people face is, number one, trust, security, and lack of education around the space. And so, yes, a lot of this conversation is a bit technical. So if somebody is just getting introduced to the space, they're watching it now because they've seen it. Ian called it at 20, right? It was going to go down to 20. Now it's at 41.
Yeah.
Imagine people are saying, I don't want to get left out. I'm going to invest.
Yeah.
Where should people be getting their source of information, right? Because there is no textbook on this. I know we've had this conversation before where, yes, you studied a lot. Where are we going? Are we reading white papers, which is like telling what's happening inside? What are we doing to get the information? Where should we go?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I'm a big believer of one, you can go to a16zcrypto.com. I'm fortunate enough to work with the greatest minds in all of the crypto industry, and so we have daily blog posts and quotes and content, and you go on our Twitter website. Like, our team is only delivers the facts and always wants to kind of deliver where the future of the spaces are going. So I would highly encourage you just to go to a16zcrypto.com and stay up to speed in terms of we have so much content that if you end up reading all that information and like the back of your hand and you're tired of reading it, you can please email me and for a job application, because we would love to have you, because that the amount of technical and professional resources there is extremely important. My partner Chris Dixon, he's also launching a book that's going to be out next year, which is it's titled Read, Write, Own. And a lot of it actually kind of goes after what you just said, is that there's so much information. And we actually heard this when we would, go up to the Hill in DC, and they'd be like, well, what book should I read to get educated, to learn about the history of the space? And so like he actually has a book that's going to be coming out early next year. And you can actually pre-register it right now on Amazon, and we'll make sure you get a copy. And maybe we can even figure out a way to do something special with with the EYL group, and in terms of making sure that we can kind of do some sort of promotion. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anna, come on, let's talk about it. But that's all. Chris is literally one of the pioneers, and he's going to really deliver some great information. And so I highly encourage you guys to check out that book when it comes out. But the most fun thing for me personally is actually just to go try and buy it. Like, go try and buy Bitcoin. Go try to mint an NFT. And because it's